Hi, I'm Chuck Colson with this week's 2-Minute Warning. People often ask me, Chuck, why are you always talking about worldview? That's what tweed-jacketed professors are into, like philosophy and all that. What's that got to do with Christianity? Well, the answer is everything. Worldview is not some lofty academic subject. It's intensely practical. Everybody's got a worldview. That is an understanding of how the world works and how we fit into it. And what we believe about the world determines how we live in the world. Today we're seeing this played out in the streets of Cairo and throughout the Middle East, where Islamists, true to their worldview, are trying to hijack a popular revolt in order to establish a new Islamic caliphate on their way to a world subjected to Allah and the teachings of Muhammad. Their philosophical inspiration is the work of a brilliant Egyptian radical, Sayyid Qutb, who was educated in the West and developed an obsessive hatred of Jews and Christians. Qutb was also a member of the Muslim Brotherhood. You've heard of them if you've been watching the news from Egypt. While in prison awaiting execution in the 1960s, Qutb produced a full-fledged Islamist revolutionary manifesto entitled In the Shadow of the Quran. His books and letters ended up in the hands of a professor in a Saudi Arabian university who taught radical Islamic worldview. One of the professor's star students was none other than Osama bin Laden. You still think worldview doesn't matter? I know personally that worldview is truly a matter of life and death. My grandson Max is a beautiful but severely autistic young man whom my daughter Emily has raised heroically, bathing him in Christian love and care. Max loves life and is such a blessing to our family and others. You can read about him in Emily's book, Dancing with Max. Now, Max will never be self-sufficient. In purely utilitarian terms, he's a drag on society, what the Nazis called a useless eater. The money and resources used to care for Max could instead be spent to feed and educate who knows how many needy kids in third world countries. Such utilitarian calculations are horrifying. But these ideas are being advocated by the enormously influential Princeton professor Peter Singer. Singer argues for infanticide, euthanasia, and withholding support from those who are of no use to society. This is exactly what the Nazis did when they performed medical experiments on prisoners and euthanized those they considered defective. Singer's utilitarian philosophy seeks to do the greatest good for the greatest number. Sounds reasonable, especially in a society with a purely secular, naturalistic worldview. Think about it. If humans, after all, are the product of random natural selection, if we merely evolved from a single-cell organism out of the primordial soup, why not get rid of people who are defective? Since life has no intrinsic meaning, why not maximize happiness for the productive people? But if we have been created by God, in His image, every life, including Max's, maybe especially Max's, is precious and to be protected. Is there a basis for human dignity? Is life sacred? How you answer that, again, depends on your worldview. As I hope you can see, the consequences are enormous. Next week on the 2-Minute Warning, I want to walk you through the 4 basic worldview questions that all thinking humans must one day ask themselves. And we'll look at how other significant worldviews answer those questions as well. The answers, and especially their implications, will surprise you. I'm Chuck Colson. That's this week's 2-Minute Warning.